7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Is she satisfied or dissatisfied? She is just a customer, just like everyone else. Like always, giving it to you raw and unedited. Over to you, the short one.
So welcome to my podcast episode. I don't even know. I don't know how many podcasts I've got out there. I don't know if it's a lot or a little, a lot. No idea. But anyway, welcome to my podcast, this week's podcast. So I don't know how this podcast is going to be because I got attacked by Daddy Longlegs literally about 20 minutes ago. I got attacked by Daddy Longlegs, and lucky enough I had my Raid fly spray, and I was just spraying like a mad woman, and the bitch wouldn't die. And it was like wanting to come towards me, and it was as if I had like I don't know, I don't like saying it because of the gun control problem here, but it's like I had a gun and it was like I'm trying to aim it because we had like eye-to-eye contact with his Daddy Longlegs, and I hate anything that's not human. So I was literally crapping myself, and I knew I had to win this fight, me and a Daddy Longlegs, and I was spraying, and I think I finished the whole can. So because I was spraying near me, I must have inhaled quite a bit. So I have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, I might just fall dead in the middle of the podcast. So if it does go silent, just know that, you know, I've gone to meet my maker. If I go a bit delally, just know it's the Raid. But I basically, cut a long story short, I won. And then next minute it was like, now I've got to hunt for its body. And I found like one leg. So the fact that I found one dismembered leg means that I've probably stepped on the rest of it. So I've got to hunt for it since I finished this podcast. But because I wasn't going to let this Daddy Longlegs make me delay on doing the podcast. So anyway, what's been happening this week? Well, at least the weather was like up and down, and thank goodness it got cooler. But it was quite funny because after the heat wave, there was so much dry vomit on the floor in the high street. It was just like, ugh. And anyone that knows me knows I've got a phobia of puke. Like, I mean, if someone pukes and you murder them, I don't believe that you should go down for it. But it was just so much dried puke and then puke stains, and it was disgusting. And I thought to myself, you know, thank goodness I'm not actually seeing the puke in action. But it's weird. How come like the heat wave upsets the belly? No idea. Why is it like when it's hot, people have to puke? Is it because of the alcohol? I mean, that puke could have been from the night, because obviously Bank Holiday weekend was a night for alcohol and stuff, but it was just gross. But thankfully I couldn't smell it, because that would have ruined my entire year, completely ruined my entire year. So at least, yeah. Anyway, but it was good to see that. I mean, I'm not an animal lover. Trust me, I'm not an animal lover. I don't like dogs, cats. I don't like any of that. I used to be literally very petrified when I was younger, but only because I was half eaten by a dog. That's a true story. I was like face hanging off and everything. I don't remember it because that's how young I was. But, you know, as I've gotten older, I'm not as scared, but I don't want to touch one. Even my fish, I've got a fish tank, and my friend has to help me like clean the fish tank, because I can't touch the fish. Not that you're supposed to touch a fish when you're cleaning it, but I mean, last time we cleaned it out, we put it into a little bowl thing, and the fish, it was a shark, and the shark had to, I don't know, commit suicide, or when it just felt like it was a trapeze artist or something, because it jumped out the bowl. So me and my friend were chatting, and all you could hear was flap, 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 flap. And we were like, what the hell's that noise? Like, flap, flap, flap. What the fuck is that noise? And then he went to check, and he was like, oh shit. And I was like, what? And he was like, stand back, stand back. Now, when someone says to me, stand back, I want to see. And I could see this, like, little mini shark, like, just thinking, uh-oh, I made a mistake. I didn't realize I couldn't live out of water. And it was flapping and flapping, and I screamed, and, like, literally screamed. No surprise that no one actually, like, heard or even came to my rescue, but I screamed. But yeah. But anyway, going back, I digress. So, but it was good to see that shops had the dog bowls for water, like water in the dog bowls. Did I say? Yeah, water in the dog bowls outside the stores. I actually thought, oh, that's nice. You know, not like, again, I don't care about dogs or cats or gerbils or, I don't know, llamas. But I just thought, oh, that's really considerate. I mean, I've seen it before, obviously, but for some reason I was actually kind of like thinking, because it was a hot day, and I just thought, oh, that's nice to know. They're thinking of animals. Well, dogs specifically, I'm assuming. I don't know, do cats drink water? I have no idea. But it was just sort of like, oh, that's nice. But just literally, I'm talking about it, I'm just thinking, what about the homeless people, the beggars? You know, do we do anything for them when it's a heat wave? Does anyone come out with like a free, I don't know, not even free because tap water's free. Does anyone come out with a cup of water or something, or an ice cream? You know, I mean, me personally, I don't give money to beggars. That's a personal choice. I mean, gosh, I probably shouldn't have said that, but yeah, I don't give money to beggars because I've witnessed things. I remember many years ago, I'm probably digressing today. I think it's the raid. So you're going to have to keep up with me. Yeah, so I remember years and years ago, I was in Wood Green, and there was a tramp. Can I say tramp? I'm not sure. I'm not very PC. But so I'll just say tramp, because tramp is universal. Homeless person. Anyway, I saw this tramp, and for some reason I was watching this tramp. And I think I was probably watching in pity, like, oh no, because I was young at the time. And this woman walked past, and she spoke with him, but I don't know what they said because I was across the road. And then she went into a coffee shop, and she got him a hot drink. I'm assuming it was a hot drink because the way she was holding it. And he not only had like to say thank you. So she walks off. As soon as she walks like 3 steps, he threw away the tea, like literally poured it where he was sitting. And I kind of thought, what the hell? That one was just paid whatever amount for tea or coffee, whatever it is. I don't know the price of the hot drinks, because I don't drink hot drinks. I've never drank hot drinks, which people find really weird. But I don't want to start. Just like alcohol, I've never drank alcohol. And people think that's strange as well, because they're always like, you know, you're a bit wacky. And even when I was doing my nightclub days, some people say to my friends, I think you need to take her home, she's had a bit too much to drink. And they're like, no, that's her naturally. Like, she is crazy like that. She doesn't even drink. People are like, what? So that's why when I get attention like that, to me, it's like, well, I don't want to start, because that gives me, you know, the attention that I'm always seeking. But anyway, so when I saw the tramp, like, throw it away, that was the moment I just thought, you know, I don't want to I'd rather give it directly to the homeless charity, but to an actual homeless person, suddenly the word tramp sounds so taboo. I want to give it to the homeless person, because of what I saw. But anyway, yeah, so I wonder, during the heat waves, and also when it's like freezing cold, do we care about the homeless people? Do shops care? You know, because, you know, that same heat wavy day, I did see, outside of Marks and Spencer's, that you tend to see, like, beggars sitting there, and other places as well. But in the guy who does the sand and makes the dogs out of the dog shapes out of the sand. It's really beautiful. It's really nice. But I don't know. Do we? But it would be nice to see that happen if it was the case. But then they probably just throw it away. Literally just throw it away. But these multinational companies, they can afford to have one coffee cup being thrown on the floor as long as no one spent money on it. So went to Tesco. Gosh, I should change my podcast to I'm just a customer at Tesco, shouldn't I? And again, I think I've mentioned before in previous podcasts, when all the checkouts are all packed with long queues, like making a snake shape, or in Tesco's case, like an octopus, because they've got quite a few checkouts, including the self-checkout. You know, you sort of scan to the cigarette counter and nobody's there. Nobody's queuing. So I always look out for them and then go straight to the cigarette counter just to pay for my stuff. And I walk out and people are still queuing. They haven't even budged in the queue. But it would be nice if Tesco was like banks. You know when you go to a bank and it's like a long queue and then you get that woman, sometimes quite annoying, but you get that woman saying, hi, can I help? You know, maybe you don't have to just queue up, you know, maybe something you could do at the cash point machine. It would be nice if Tesco had like staff, not dedicated staff to do that, no, but like, you know, just for staff when they're, you know, got a quiet moment or whatever. Because sometimes, like even at the tobacco bit, you can see 3 staff members behind the counter and only one person at the till. So those 2 people, they could literally just go to the long queues and sort of say, "Oh, do you want to go and pay at the checkouts?" And also pay at the checkouts, pay at the cigarette counter. Also, I remember back in the day, I just thought about it just now, that there used to be signs saying 5 items or less in the basket. I know that Tesco doesn't have it. So could you go with a full trolley? Like a full trolley to pay at the cigarette counter? But geez, if that person was in front of me in the queue with a full trolley, I would have to have words. I would literally have to have words. That should never happen. In front of me, no. Behind me, absolutely. Try it out. But not in front of me. Because just in case that woman feels under pressure, or man, feels under pressure and they start scanning that full trolley. No, not when I'm there. Not at all. Not at all. So something new I discovered. So my BFF came to give me a surprise visit. Oh, so lovely. With my little best friend, her 7-year-old daughter, I think she's 7. But anyway, and her other daughter and her partner. And they came to give like surprise visit. So I stuck off the kids to go and have ribs, because we always have ribs at our particular favourite ribs restaurant in the town centre. And it's called, well, it was called Relish Burgers, but they've changed name now, but I can't remember the name of it. And so, few things from their short visit, because I think they were only in St Albans for about, I don't know, an hour and a half. And first things first, they went to my favourite butcher's to go and get their meat. And they were just like, I mean, I didn't tell them to go there, but she knew I shopped from the butcher's. But I wasn't with them because I kidnapped the kids to go and have the ribs. And when they came to join us afterwards, that's when I could see they had loads of plastic bags with meat inside. And I was like, oh, did you go to my butcher's? She's like, yeah. So I didn't know that my butcher's, like when I buy my ribs, my stash of ribs, I didn't know that you could ask them to marinate them. And apparently they've got quite a few flavours. But I remember her saying Chinese and Cajun. She mentioned others, but I was too vexed to remember, because I felt, they're my best friends. I'm supposed to have a little hidden secrets. So I've got to go and have words with them, to sort of say, well, hello. I didn't know that you could marinate before. But yeah. And then when they got home, she sent me pictures of the ribs. Ooh, looks so delish. But anyway, going back to their visit, so I went with the kids to this rib restaurant, and I think they've changed management because they've changed name. So I assumed they changed management, but I didn't inquire. The only thing I did inquire was, where are the kids' games? Because they tend to have the kids' games by the counter where you pay. And I mean, I don't have kids of my own, but I kidnap other people's kids. And with my little mini best friend, a little 7-year-old, whenever we go there, she always gets a game and we play it, waiting for our order to arrive, for our food to arrive. And it's such a good thing to have, because number one, it can keep kids quiet depending on what game you choose. And depending on who you're playing with, because if you're playing with me, I'm going to be shouting because I'm very competitive. I don't do that kid shit where you make kids win. I don't do that. I play to win. But anyway, but this time they've got rid of it. I asked them, I was like, where are the games? Where are the games? You know, even my little mini best friend, she was just like, yeah, where are the games? And the waitress was basically saying that they got rid of them. And it's such a shame because, again, I think it's a good distraction for kids if there is, like, games available. And also for me as well, because if I get there hungry, and then from the time I place my order to the time my food touches the table, sometimes that waiting time feels like 3 days when you're starving, you know, and you even get a bit hangry sometimes, and you kind of like, you know, and you got a kid to entertain, and it's like, oh, please, no. But yeah, so the game's also good for me as well. But it's a shame they got rid of it for whatever reason. Like I said, I didn't really take in what she said because, yeah. What else? Yeah, so there's a sweet shop in St. Albans, and now I'm not going to mention the name of it only because I'm part of a St. Albans business group, private group, closed group, whatever you want to call it, on Facebook. And I did sort of scan, you know when you go through the timeline on Facebook, you just kind of scroll really quickly until something goes bang. So I read that, I think that they're closing their store and becoming online. And I was like, oh my gosh, no. Now, personally me, I'm not a sweet person. I'm a chocolate girl. Oh, chocolate. Especially white chocolate. Because white chocolate is so filling that I can't finish a whole bar of white chocolate. But milk chocolate is also... Oh, stutter time. Dark chocolate. Cheese. Dark chocolate. I find it too bitter. And kind of waste of money. But white chocolate is to die for, and then obviously comes milk chocolate. But it was a good shop to have again when you've got kids, because, you know, yes, you've got that old sweet shop or something. I can't remember the name of it. But yes, you got that, but I don't think it's in St. Albans. There's a notice on the window, or there was a notice on the window, but I couldn't bother to read it. It had too much text. I hate reading too much text. Literally, I hate it. Even people text me. If it's too long to read, I'm just like, oh gosh, you know, call me instead. Just give me a call. But yeah, but it's such a shame because they do. I'm not going to speak in past tense because I could be wrong in what I read, but they do depending on what age you are. Back in the day in the sweet shop, when the sweets were in a massive jar at the back of the counter and you'd ask for quarters, they do all those old-time sweets, as well as sweets from South Africa, I think Australia or something like that. But they do those old nostalgic sweets like rhubarb and custard and cola bottles. Probably you might still get those sweets because, again, I'm not a sweet person. I'm a chocolate girl. But yeah, so that was quite, oh no. And again, it's one of those things like if I am right in what I read, and if it does go, it's one of those things where I think, oh man, I should have gone there more often. So just in case I am wrong, and you do work out the shop I'm talking about, I would say go and check it out because it's a very good shop and very friendly as well. Very friendly. But But yeah, so that's a shame. So I'm going to have to break that. I'm going to break the news to my little mini best friend, because she used to like going to that sweet shop, because if you go with me, especially if you're a kid, I don't have rules. So I'm just like, yeah, get the sweets you want. Yeah, whatever. Just pile it on, pile it on, pile it on. Yeah, so that's a shame. That's an absolute shame. So let's just pause for a while and take a break. So don't forget, on the website, www.iamjustacustomer.com, Facebook and Instagram is I am just a customer. And on Twitter, it's I'm just a customer. So don't forget, if you enjoy my podcast, share it, review it. Even if you hate it, still do something. Share it, review it, and say, oh gosh, I hate her voice, or, you know, I don't like her podcast, or whatever. She's so boring. You know, she calls herself the short one. She's actually 6'3" tall. Oh, I'd hate to be tall. Being tall just looks so boring because you see everything. When you're short like me, everything's fascinating when you tilt your head upwards, because there's still more to see. Whereas I'm used to seeing my eye level. So when I look up, it's like, oh gosh, there's more. But yeah, so sharing is caring. Like I said, it's not a dirty little secret. So spread the word. Okay, back to the show. So, I call it show. I mean podcast. So, let's talk about Amazon. Now, I like Amazon. I've got Amazon Prime. I like Amazon Prime. I think if you're a seller on Amazon and you don't, I don't know how the selling works if you're a seller, but if you've got an option to use Amazon Prime, I'd say make sure you do Prime, because as soon as I'm searching for something on Amazon and I use the filter, I always tick the Prime option. So I'm most likely to buy Prime. Not even most likely, I'm definitely going to buy Prime. If I can't find it on Amazon, I'm going to go and check on eBay. Or if I can't find it on Amazon or eBay, I'll just do a internet search. But the other day I ordered 2 nail varnishes. And what I picked up from the post office, because I like to get my Amazon Prime delivered at the post office. Not at home, because I'm just stuck in all day. So when I went to the post office, I actually thought I got the wrong package, because it came in a big box. Like, you know, it could have easily been a shoebox for an American basketball player. It was that big. And I said to the woman, I was like, no, I don't think this is mine. I think you got the wrong one. And she checked the name and said, oh, it is mine. Opened it up, and you had 2 just obviously normal sized nail varnishes, and you know they're quite small, and then around it was this extra bit of brown paper. And I thought to myself, and this is the thing, people, whenever I have a discussion about recycling, I always say to people that it's very hard for me to be pro recycling. And, oh gosh, I'm revealing too much in this podcast, you know. In fact, I don't give to the homeless and now at recycling. But yeah, it's very hard to be pro recycling, because a lot of these companies, where do they do their bit? I mean, with Amazon, I only had 2 small nail varnishes, and it wasn't like from different orders. It was, because I like to do the shellac thing on my nails. So it was the base coat and the top coat. So it was one order. And to me, it was like, you've just given me this big, massive box. And it's stuffed with brown paper for 2 small, tiny items. And then we're forced to go and recycle and cut down on this and cut down on that and measure your food to throw away and all this kind of jazz. But to me, it's like, well, when are these corporations going to start leading by example? Because now I won't say I'm stuck with this box, because maybe I am recycling, because I tend to use the boxes as containers. but they only last for so long. It's not like you can have a box or a container for like years and years and years and pass it on to generations. But it is, to me, it's like, that's why I'm not a recycling freak. You know, that is my example. Because, again, it's come in a massive... You could literally put... I mean, yes, I think I could actually fit in the box. If I go in a fetal position and just pat my hair down, I think I could actually sleep in the box that was given for these 2 small nail varnishes. Why does the word varnishes sound like it's wrong? Like I should be saying varnish-eye or something. Or not even varnish-eye. Like you could be just... Maybe it doesn't have a plural. Maybe it's 2 nail varnish. But varnishes sounds really weird. You know, sounds weird. So... Before I go, I'll just say a very quick confessional story. So, I was in Wilko's, and firstly, don't get me started on the Wilko's queuing system. Gosh, you know, you've got to really, as you're approaching the queues, to go and queue up, you've got to like really scan hard, and your eyeballs go left, right, up, down, diagonal, all because you're trying to find the shortest queue. And I did kind of wonder, like, you know, the British queuing system, which I truly love, which is first come, first serve. With Wilko's, does that rule still apply? So if I see a shorter queue, or somebody just standing there sitting there waiting for someone to come to their queue, am I meant to say to the next person that, oh look, there's a free spot over there? But I don't anyway. I just go straight for it. But anyway, so I'm approaching the checkouts at Wilko's, and my mind was somewhere else. I can't remember where it was, but I probably was with Narnia or something. But my mind was wandering somewhere else. And the thing is, I'm not used to small people. I don't mean dwarfs, midgets, people of something stature, people like me. I don't mean them. I'm talking about little kids, like little kids. So, because anyone that's even shorter than me, that's a grown up, I can see you. You know, let's not be stupid. You know, I can see you. I don't have to look all the way down. So, I'm approaching the checkouts, and there's, I guess, a brother and sister, and they're playing sword fighting without the swords. They just got imaginary swords. And they're playing. But I didn't notice the little girl. And so I sort of turn, but I must have used my hips thinking I was Shakira or something. But I knocked the kid over. She didn't fall to the ground, but she literally had to sidestep. You know, when you fall, but you think you're going to fall, but you have to like sort of shuffle to the side, like But she managed to get her balance, which was good. And the mother, whose back was turned throughout this whole thing, turned round. And I thought, oh shit, things are going to kick off, you know. Then I remembered I was in Hertfordshire, not London. But the mother shouted at the daughter and the son, I'm assuming it was mother and child, and children. And she shouted and said, like, be careful, you know, you're knocking people over. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, oh, don't worry. And I sort of smiled when I said it. Whoa, the brother. I mean, I'm talking about these kids with toddlers. The dirty look he gave me. Like, if I was religious, I would have gone straight to church. The look that he gave me. I mean, I was scared. I was literally like, oh, that look, he could literally beat me up if he wanted to right now. You know, because that looked like he was basically saying with his eyes, I know what you did, and now my little sister is getting in trouble for it. And you know that it was your fault. So my smile kind of like faded, and I just avoided eye contact. but they chose the wrong queue because they were a bit longer than me. So I managed to escape the shop very fast, and then, just did my little scurry home and stuff. But yeah, so that was my little event at Wilko's. But I was bad, wasn't I? But I did think to myself, should I say to the mother, no, it wasn't your kid's fault. But she wasn't angry with the kids, like, I'm going to beat you when you get home, or, if the laws were allowed, I'll smack you right now. It wasn't like, she didn't have that anger. I think it was just frustration because the kids did look a bit hyperactive, to be honest, because they were playing with imaginary swords. I think if a child plays with imaginary swords, to me, it's like they're a bit hyperactive kids. But yeah, that was my little entertainment for the day. But it was just that little boy. I think if he saw me again, he will call me out on it. Like, literally call me out. If I was in a public place and somebody, like I said, let's say, for example, if you're in an outside concert and someone's out there with a mic, the little kid would jump on stage and say, it was her. I've got to avoid that kid. But I didn't look at him for too long. I don't know what he looked like. But anyway, so on that note, and that confessionary podcast on so many levels, I will see you, or you'll hear from me, because you won't see me unless you go onto my website at IamJustAcustomer.com, or my Facebook and Instagram, I am just a customer, and my Twitter at I'm just a customer. So I am just a customer. That's when you will see me. But other than that, you'll hear from me next Wednesday. So on that note, love, peace, and hair grease.
Oh, this you crazy mother.